I'd like to thank you all for joining us today for this presentation. My name is Laurie Denman. I am a high priestess of the Karelian nativist tradition, and I'm an active participant in the International Peace Warriors. I'd like to introduce the other people on stage with me. I have Reverend Neal, who is my tech guy. I have Lord Don Lewis, who is the Chancellor of the Karelian nativist tradition and also head of Witch School, where he's the CEO.
And also a member of the ICN Triad Union.
And also a member of the ICN Triad Union. Sitting next to him is Lady Stephanie Neal, who is the Archpriestess and First Elder of the Karelian nativist tradition. And I've asked them to join me today to share with you an opportunity to make your prayers powerful. Powerful, powerful, powerful. So who are we and what do we do and why do we do it? Well, the International Peace Warriors are people of all faiths and walks of life who pray for peace in an organized and routine manner. You don't have to be part of a clergy to be with us. You don't have to be part of an organized religion to be with us. All people who want peace in the world are welcome to join the group. These are some of the faces that I've gotten to know over the last couple of years as we have prayed for peace around the world. Currently, we have 22 countries participating in the International Peace Warriors, and we're in 155 locations in those 22 countries. We have a lot of locations where we have multiple people praying for peace, but this is where we are today. I hope that after this presentation, we'll be adding a few more dots to the map if you join our efforts. So what do we do? International Peace Warriors have a commitment to pray for peace on a routine basis, combining their prayers with a host of other international peace warriors. So this is not praying for peace every blue moon. This is an effort to get together as a group and pray for peace through the advent of social media. Lord Don, would you like to explain why we do what we do?
Well, why are we doing this? And you only need to look at the world to see the answer to that. If there's anything the world needs more of, it's people focused on peace, because there are a lot of people who are focused on not peace. And what we wanted to do was to bring together people who wanted to increase peace in the world in a way that we could do so. No matter where we were, no matter who we were, we can join our efforts together. If you look at the world today, and throughout most of history, there's a great deal of chaos in the world, there's a great deal of violence in the world, there is a great deal of not peace in the world. And if you look at the world, you'll see that there are many people who are promoting violence. They're promoting, I'm going to use the term selfishness, they're promoting the destruction of the earth in many ways. Now, nobody believes that they're doing things that are wrong. Everyone does what they believe to be right. But it is possible to believe you're right and still be doing destructive things. If you look at the Middle East, it is convulsed in violence. Most of the world is convulsed in violence, and everyone on every side believes they are in the right, and they believe they're doing the right thing. But we believe the right thing is peace, and we wanted to put the same focus into peace that many other people are putting against peace. We believe that the power of prayer is real. We believe that when we pray, when we focus on peace, through prayer, through energetic working, that we are making a real difference, that we are putting the energies of love and peace into the world to combat energies of fear and hatred. Now, of course, it's not enough to just pray for peace. You have to work for peace as well, but praying doesn't hurt. It is helpful not only in a spiritual sense, but also it helps to keep you focused on the need for peace. We have many, many activities ongoing that we will speak more about that help to keep people focused on the need for peace and on what peace is. And in the context of what peace is, I would like to share some words from Lao Tzu of the Taoist tradition, the founder of the Taoist tradition. If there is to be peace in the world, there must be peace in the nations. If there is to be peace in the nations, there must be peace in the cities. If there is to be peace in the cities, there must be peace between neighbors. If there is to be peace between neighbors, there must be peace in the home. And if there is to be peace in the home, there must be peace in the heart. And this is a very important part of what we feel about peace, that it must begin with oneself. In order to bring peace into the world, you must first be an agent of peace. You must first be at peace yourself. And then you can share it, then you can build it. It doesn't do you a lot of good to pray for peace if you're starting fights every 5 minutes. Cultivating your own peace is part of cultivating peace in the world. And there are so many ways to do that. Every individual on the planet may have a different way of cultivating their own peace, and that is good. And what is peace? Well, on our paper, we have some words. Peace is not a verb. Peace is a noun. It can be described as a state of mutual harmony. It can be described as mental or emotional calm. It can be described as being untroubled, tranquil, and content. But I would also say that there is more to this. I believe it's very important to remember that peace is not merely the absence of conflict. Many people confuse this, and they think that that's all peace is. Peace requires that people can live a decent life without being afraid because of who they are. People should not have to be afraid because of the color of their skin, because of their gender, because of their sexual orientation, because of their religion, their nationality. And as long as people have to live in fear because of these things that are simply who they are, there is not peace. It doesn't matter if there's fighting in the street if you cannot live without fear. So when we say when we are praying for peace, we are not merely praying for a cessation of open hostility, but social justice and decency for all people, because there is no peace without that. In Parliament, you will hear this same message. And I believe that many, many people around the world are conscious of this. Unfortunately, many others are not. But by focusing ourselves on the importance of peace within the context of justice for all people, we can help to bring it to the forefront. We can help to lead others to understand its importance. We can help to make the world a more peaceful place. Now, people have said to me, there's no point in doing this. There will never be total peace in the world. We're not talking about that either. We're talking about more peace. Because you can have more or less. You may or may not ever be able to have perfect peace, but that's no reason not to have more peace right now today. You can make your world better even if you cannot immediately make it perfect. And if you make it better often enough, eventually it might be perfect. If we bring enough peace into the world, if we work enough for peace, how do we know that we cannot have perfect peace in the world? We might. But even if we couldn't, we'd have more peace. My brother has a quote that he loves to use, and I cannot remember who said it, but I'm going to use it anyway. And that is that people overestimate what they can do in 1 year, but they underestimate what they can do in 10 years. Many people feel if they can't do it right away, they'll never get it done, but this is not true. If we work step by step, if we work incrementally, we can work wonders in this world, even though we cannot do it overnight. And what is worth having is worth working for, even in the long term, even though it's a long journey. And having peace in the world, having peace in our time perhaps, is not an overnight task. It is not an easy task. And it is not a quick task, but it is a worthwhile task. And everything that we do, the International Peace Warriors, many other people working for peace, all the people in the world who would like a more peaceful world, everything we do cumulatively is gigantic. We need not look very far in the world to see that there are a lot of people, again, who are not working for peace. And it is important that those of us who want a more peaceful world, those of us who want to see justice for all people, that we stand up and do that. Because the people who feel differently are standing up for their thing. And we must value our desire for peace enough to put into practice the building of peace in the world. And many people will look at things like peace and they will say, well, other people will do that. And they will leave it to people they think might be better organized, might be more worthy. But the truth is, everyone who wants a more peaceful world should work for it. And there is no one more worthy than yourself, whoever you may be. And if whoever we are, we wait for someone else to do it, it might not happen. But whoever we are, if we work on it, we know it's being done. And this is why we do it. Because we looked at the world and we saw that there are many other people working for peace, but there can never be too many people working for peace. And that is why we organized this. We organized it as simply as we could. We tried to make it something anyone can take part in. Our focus is spiritual. But again, it's not enough simply to pray for peace. You must also work for it in your life. But there are myriad ways to do that. And the last thing that I will say on this before we move to what is prayer. You'll notice that we refer to it as a spiritual war for peace. And you might say, why would we call it that? Isn't this a contradiction in terms? But the reason we call it that is because we feel it is actually a bit of a conflict of values, because there are many people who are working for conflict. They believe they're right, but they're working for conflict. There are people spreading violence through the world. It is a conflict. It's not enough for us, in my opinion, to have this as our happy little hobby that we do. We must realize that we are opposing a certain trend in the world, that we are trying to push back against that trend to violence and to oppression. And it seems to me that the world is particularly in need of that at this time, though it's always in need of it. And I'm sure that every generation that's ever lived has said that we need it more now than ever. But this is our moment, and I think we need it more now than ever for ourselves. And with that, let us continue.
Lady Stephanie?
So it says, what is prayer? And as all of us collectively within our own religions and our own traditions and our own way, the way we believe, we all recognize and have had probably many discussions throughout the years of how we can apply the peace we have in our hearts and push it through and reveal it to all of humanity. And yet, subliminally, we're told every single day, but you're not enough. Well, starting today, if you've never heard it before, we all say this to ourselves now, within this eternal moment. You are enough. You are more than enough. You are the person that needs to stand up and recognize that and say something. And speaking isn't necessarily just through words. Speaking and portraying peace can be done through your actions. And sometimes the smallest sentence can change a person's heart. And we have to, from this day forward, if you haven't already, recognize that I will stand, and I will stand for maybe even a group that I'm not part of. Maybe today, for the Asian people, I'm going to stand up and say they matter. I'm going to stand up for the gay people and say they matter. I'm going to stand up and say for the blacks matter. And there's nothing wrong with it. What are they going to do with us? They're going to treat all those folks worse? No. But we, as all good, kind, spiritual leaders, that's okay for us to stand up for another. It's okay. Give ourselves permission to help those that need a hand up. And it starts with our words and our actions. So I've prepared. I was asked to read this today because I essentially just thought it was just going to be a handout. And surprise, you're going to be hearing it from Stephanie Neal. All right. And the title of this is How Do We Live with Human Bloodshed? I thought that was a happy and bright title to start off. How do we live with human blood shed? This is what we have chosen for thousands of years, collectively, not personally, collectively as a human race. Our actions reveal we have no difficulty entering war. Once again, look around. Apparently that's the decision up to this point. Killing our own nations as well as other nations. Now is the time to ask, how do we live without bloodshed? That's the conversation. We have already learned all the lessons regarding hate and dominion. We've learned it, we've got it. It is time to eradicate all human bloodshed. The first step is creating a field of life so that all options are revealed. And those other options most likely might not just come from the majority. There's a very good, excellent chance that there's options out there that's never been discussed before. And it might come from a little woman sitting on the side of the road making a basket. And has anyone asked her opinion of the solution to end war? If this field does not represent the entire human race, then the human race will never uncover every peace-worthy solution. This too has already been proven by those that decide to utilize weapons for answers. Which if you just think about it, that's insanity. But that's our first option. Oh, well, all right, we don't want to take the weapons off the table in having discussions, heaven forbid. There will always be disagreements and greed. Conversely, there will come a dawn that no one will remember human bloodshed. I know because I have seen it in my dreams, and I know you have too. Here we stand on the precipice of peace. It may take 1,000 years, but this is the first step. Among others in other rooms, more than likely saying the same message in their own way. Here we stand on the precipice of peace solutions. As spiritual beings, we will never implement bloodless wars until all of history is recorded. All of history. And learned by every age, every gender, and every race. Only shallow solutions will continue to be implemented if the complete tribe is not invited into the field of hope. The meaningful solutions will not appear unless everyone appears. When we all sit at the peace table equally, this is when the cosmos will clearly open the masses, and the masses shall enter the gates. And here the masses of invention and millions of solutions, so that those that live on earth may not just survive, but thrive. This is when inventions and solutions will be poured over humankind, like a swarm of buzzing bees. What does this mean practical or in practical terms? This means the human race starts recording all history, not just a single gender or selected races. We have already tried to run the earth by war for eons. It has been clearly proven blood wars solve nothing. When our religious leadership faces reflect their members, this is when brilliant solutions will be presented, implemented, and safely maintained. Solutions and support will pour from heaven only when everyone collectively arrives at the field of hope. No one group being marginalized, no one killed or made invisible. Once we all take our rightful place, and that is our responsibility. Once we take our rightful place, not waiting to be allowed inside the war rooms, all this is in our hands. Removing blood from all war rooms by standing up for all of humanity's rights, all genders, gays, races, and tribes that have been pushed out of their homes, pushed out of their dreams, will usher in newfound courage to rise up and start seeing each other as fellow heirs of the divine, to acknowledge each other's strengths. First step, come together like today, to become visible again. After listening to these words, hopefully they've entered your hearts. Were you upset how many times I used the word bloodshed? I hope you were. Were you upset because the notion that there are answers out there the dominionists of the world have not discovered? I hope you were not. Were you upset? There is a great possibility for females, gays, blacks, and browns, individuals may usher in bloodless wars? If so, please see all humanity as you see yourself. All of humanity is equally endowed with gifts that help our world tribe heal from our wounds. We have so far to travel before humanity understands brute violence has already proven to be utterly ineffective. Hate only begets hate. Violence does the same. Only peace produces answers. Only peace produces champions. Only peace produces heroes. Peace is possible. So when prayers are raised on an organized manner, combined intent and strengths and just effective coming together in this union, in this one intent and purpose, it's a good thing. And we shall be the leaders of goodness.
I'd like to give you a little history of the International Peace Warriors. The Carillion Nativist Church, which is about 139 years old, has an order system, and one of the orders is the Order of the Peace Weavers. They were organized in 2009 by Reverend Teresa Hilton, and she focuses on raising peace through organized events and routine practices, through visualization, rituals, meditation, through music and art and dance, by all positive modalities. And she has a Facebook group that is open to everyone that would like to be part of this, and I'll provide you more information on that in a little bit. But continuing to build on the work of Reverend Ott is the creation of the International Peace Warriors, which were created by Lord Don Lewis in 2014. And like he said, we tried to keep it simple so that everyone could participate. And we created a Facebook group, the International Peace Warriors. That group is used to share messages of peace, to organize peace events, to rally troops when there is a crisis so that we can focus intense prayer at that crisis situation. It has nothing to do with doctrine or dogma. It's all faiths are represented. Every faith is welcome to this group. It just happened to be started by a Carillion. I've got the link in the presentation to the International Peace Warriors. And in your chairs, you will see the peace sigil, which you also see on the floor up here. And we'll talk more about that in a minute. But at the bottom of that sigil is a website address. And that website has a lot of information that we'll share with you. So you can actually download this presentation from that site and use it however you see fit. If you've got friends that you want to show it to, yay. If you've got church groups you want to share it with, yay. If you're in the Rotary and want to share it, yay. Anyone can download this presentation and use it. And so don't worry about us showing you links on the screen. I've given you the one link that you need to get to the presentation that has all the links in it. So how can you get involved? First, find your own inner peace. There are tools on the Facebook page that help you work towards your own inner peace so that you can spread that out from yourself. You can join the Facebook group, the International Peace Warriors. You can participate in any of the events that they organize, or create your own events and add it to the Facebook page so that we may participate with you, not just you participating with us. Some of the events that we currently have on the schedule fall into a couple of various buckets. One is a rolling peace prayer. I'm sure you've heard of the Worldwide Meditation Day or the Worldwide Peace Day that some other groups do. It's similar. We have certain days where we start at a certain time all over the world, and then whenever that time gets to your time zone, you jump in. And that wave of peace goes around the world as a consequence. We have series of weekly peace prayers where we focus on certain things at certain weeks of the year. So like first Friday, we bring peace to the physical body. On the second Friday, we bring emotional peace. On the third Friday, we bring peace of mind. And then on the fourth Friday, we bring peace with our relationship with the divine. Whatever your concept of divine is, because everyone has their own personal concept of divine. Because we are a Wiccan tradition, we also have moon peace prayers. So on the full moon, we pray for peace. We also have certain days of the month that people have committed to doing peace prayers. Maybe they have a study group, or maybe they have a meeting that they conduct on a routine basis, and they've added that to the schedule so that we can join in and pray at the same time and amplify their efforts. Here's a map of some of the organized peace prayers around the world. I would love to see a blob on every country. That's a dream that I have, is to spread this to every country. So Lord Don, would you like to introduce the peace prayer?
When we began this, we wanted to have a simple format that people could use if they wished. However, it's not meant to be the format one must use, but a format that one can use. We had people who said, well, what do I do? What kind of prayer should I say? And the answer is you should pray from your heart. But the peace prayer was created to help people who perhaps felt nervous, and also for when people come together. And the peace prayer is this, and I hope that you will join me in the peace prayer. I pray for peace. I
pray for love. I pray for stability. I pray for the nation where I live. I pray for the world.
In creating the peace prayer, I wanted to emphasize the importance of peace in one's own backyard, but also in the entire world, and that these two things are linked. Very often we think of ourselves in terms of us and them. We think of ourselves being where we are and the whole rest of the world is alien. And this is not true. The whole world is one world, and it is all important to be with more peace. In our own backyard, of course we want more peace, but everyone else's backyard needs more peace too. And that is why the prayer is structured as it is. We use a sigil, and if you're not familiar with the concept of a sigil, allow me to explain it. The word sigil is Latin, and it means a symbol. It is a symbol that represents a concept. In this case, within our religious background, we often use sigils to attune and focus energy. We focus on the sigil to help keep our energy focused in the same direction. The peace sigil that we created has the following meaning. The spiral at the center represents us coming together with our desire for peace. It represents spiraling that into our heart and into the heart of the world. And the arrows represent disseminating all that energy that is gathered to the world. So it pulls it together and it sends it out. That is the concept that it expresses. In the Karelian tradition, many Karelian peace warriors will use this sigil to help to focus their prayer, because this is how we use sigils in our tradition. And we would speak of it as sending the energy through the sigil, but another way to say it is that the sigil is helping us to focus our intent and to keep our energy going in the direction we are trying to send it. The way that we would use the sigil is that you want to focus on the sigil as you offer whatever prayer you wish to offer. You focus on peace and love, which are related, obviously, and healing, which is also related. Because just as the world cannot have too much peace, the more peace we bring into the world, the better it is. The more healing we bring to ourselves and to the world as a whole, the better also. And that helps to allow peace. And we focus on the spiral in the sigil circling inward, integrating that energy into the sigil, and then we give thanks and we allow that energy to expand into the universe. We also use something called the crystal web within our tradition, and all people are welcome to use it. And we will now explain the crystal web.
So the crystal web was designed decades ago, and it is in use on a daily basis throughout the globe. It's essentially a crystal, it's a construct created by many humans. And the web uses buried crystals and other stones to form a giant energy network, which can be used to facilitate earth healing, spiritual attunement, and communication. And essentially it's a battery, so that any type of prayer that you want to set out into the universe, it's a little booster as well. But the main purpose, or purposes, because there's so many purposes, is that a way to feel connected to everyone across the earth, because indeed this web at this point is moving and connected and lively and glowing underneath the earth.
To create your access to the crystal web, there is a ritual that, since we had expanded time, we would like to perform. And as you came in, I hope that you got 2 crystals so that you can see how to activate this. If you have not, Reverend Susan is in the back of the room and you can get your 2 crystals, and we'll show you that in a few minutes. If you choose to create an access point to the crystal web, we would be thrilled if you would email us where that is. And we don't want your address, so we don't worry about giving out personal information. But there's a link in the presentation when you download it that you can put in an address and it will give you the longitude and latitude. And what we do with that is we record that on a map. And you can see that we've got quite a few crystal webs planted, especially in the United States, but they are around the world. After we finish our ritual here today, we will be taking the access point that we create today and taking it outside and burying it near the fire circle. So Salt Lake City will be added to the map and it will have a crystal web access point. Yay! So what's this got to do with peace warriors? Well, it's an energy construct, and for some, prayer is a beseechment of the divine to take action, to intervene, to right a wrong, to heal. For others, prayer is a focus of energy. And when you take this energy and pump it through an energy conduit that goes around the world, if I speak a prayer in this room hears it and deity hears it. If I speak a prayer and focus it into the crystal web, this room hears it, deity hears it, but the whole world hears it going through the crystal web. So it's an amplifier. In the presentation that you download, there are a couple of links for additional information.
I call forth all the elements and the quarters within this center. Be with us, guide us. And we all say, hail and welcome.
Hail and welcome.
Now, visualize or sense a triangle in front of you. You see it now spinning counterclockwise. And as you see it spinning, it's glowing with beautiful, brilliant, radiant white light. Then keep your focus on that as you split your focus to your heart chakra. And as it continues to counterclockwise and spins beautifully, see your heart chakra, green light beam shoot towards the triangle. See the beam fill the triangle as it spins. Once it's filled, you now see or sense that same green beam that originated from your heart now reverse and start entering back into your heart. Now see your heart filling up with that same presence of the goddess and God and your heart chakra. See it fill your heart, fill all your chakras, fill your entire body, fill the rest of your body, that it completely fills your body and all that is around you, which is you. And as it also returns, this triangle becomes a 3D cube. Now you see the 3D cube spinning clockwise. And with that, we return our attention back to our crystal. All this spinning, us spinning, as we agree with the universe. Spinning. We take that crystal, we already had in the astral, already done, a hole that has been dug in the rich green earth. Place that crystal, one of them, into the hole. We have a crystal here and dirt that represents the dirt that's going to be placed outside. See that in your mind's eye, that beautiful brown, rich brown dirt. See the crystal being pushed down. Now cover it up with your hand. And as you cover it up with your hand, see a white, same white light of the goddess of God, forcing gently that energy that comes from us. The divine that's coming from us is coming into this crystal. As it's covered in this white light, you're pushing it down. Now once it's pushed down, you step back and you just gently focus in on that charged crystal. Now you take a couple deep breaths, your mind's eye and your heart still focusing in on this crystal that's now buried in the same earth that is touched upon by every human being. Every human being touches dirt every single minute of their life. And as we focus in on that beautiful crystal, don't just let it happen. Allow the attunement to happen in your time, not my time. Might not even happen now. Allow that crystal to be attuned to the crystal web across the entire globe. Some of you may be able to see the attunement, may be able to see the activation that is truly connected to the entire global web. If you don't see it today, that's perfectly fine. But know it has been activated, if you see it or not. We know how that is. Sometimes things happen, we don't sense it, but then we know it happened. Now, we take that second crystal, and yes, both of that second crystal you take home with you and do the same thing, very simple steps. And as we close this down, we thank all of the ancestors. We thank every person that came here on this earth and decided to take part of this colossal, amazing journey that we all are family and all brothers and sisters in this divineness. And we thank the four quarters that we just called, and collectively we say, hail and farewell.
Hail and farewell.
As an energy construct, you can tap into it when you need energy. I'm sure that we've all overcommitted at some point in our life, but that is also another use for the crystal web. To make sure that the crystal web is healthy and pure and has that energy that is needed for its task, on the 11th of every month, the Order of the Web Weavers has a ritual that cleanses and re-energizes the crystal web for the next month. So this is something that is cared for and maintenance done on it, and make sure that when you need it, it's ready to go. So that's our presentation for today. I thank you for coming. If we have any questions from the audience, we've got a little bit of time left, and we'd be happy to answer any questions that you've got, either about the International Peace Warriors, about the Crystal Web, about Carillion, whatever you'd like to ask questions of, we'd be happy to address them.